This is Greg Helbeck, Michael Pinter, and Devon King joining us in the studio today. We're in Garden City, New York, doing a first live session here, so we're excited about that. So we're actually going to talk today all about the current state of the real estate market. So as we're recording this, it is August of 2022, and man, has the market changed over the last 5 or 6 months. So let's just kind of go around. I guess we'll kick this off with what everyone's like kind of what have you been seeing recently? Devon and I are in the same area. Michael's basically in the same area, a little bit more south in Long Island. So we're all pretty much in that New York City suburb region. So, Mike, what have you seen, I mean, at least on the island, about an hour from us?
So but I've seen over the last couple of months, really, like in July and August, for the first time in pretty much 14 years, the market take a pause. I think the market's still strong by me, but people were concerned and you could say scared for the first time in a while. So certainly for wholesaling, I think a lot of the cash buyers started getting antsy, and in a situation where you might have 20 offers 3 months ago, you might only have 2 or 3 offers now. And even those offers you're going to need to be a little careful about, because a lot of the cash buyers, not just concerned, but also some of their lenders are concerned, maybe pulling back a little bit. But what I'm seeing now, as things I think are settling out a little bit, is that the market is still very strong. There's still a real lack of supply. There's not enough houses for the people that want them. So that's on the retail end, and even on the wholesale end for cash buyers. So I think that I don't think we're at the precipice of a cliff, but I think that anytime somebody saw a little softening of the market, they got concerned. So someone at Investor Fuel a few like 4 months ago said that, you know, interest rates are going to affect things, but if in any given area there's 1,000 people that can qualify for a house at 3%, and there's 500 people that can qualify for a house at 6%, and there's 200 people that can qualify for the house at 7%, and interest rates are 7%, it doesn't really matter if there's only 100 houses for sale. And I think we're still in a situation in a lot of New York, due to the unique length of time it takes to foreclose and evict in New York, where the moratoriums from the pandemic, both the eviction and the foreclosure moratoriums, still have artificially reduced the supply. Now that's going to take a long time to get through the system, and when it does, I'm not sure where it can be, and maybe the market will be rearing to go again at that point. But I think that there are parts of the country where things are significantly worse than us, and I think our lack of supply should keep things relatively strong, even if we pulled back, 5% or 10%.
So, for example, like San Diego is scary right now. Median house price there was $1 million. Now it's $805.
Wow, that's 20%.
20% drop.
Yeah,
and people, there's flippers that I know that are
crying.
They're crying, and they're also balking at any deal that comes by their desk. Because a lot of people in San Diego, like, they were buying these like $1 million deals, putting 200 into it, and selling them at like 1.7, 1.8. And now if they try to do that, they're really selling those at 1.4, 1.5 and getting cleaned up, getting popped. So San Diego's a little scary. I think Utah is getting spanked.
Utah's getting spanked bad.
And Idaho.
Boise, Idaho.
Boise's getting blown up.
That's no good over there.
It's bad.
I didn't even hear about Boise, but Boise's...
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, I think that's
Austin,
the worst.
Texas is a bad one right now.
Those places were so overheated.
Yeah.
Like, I know that Utah was ridiculous. Like, I know Jason...
What was the median house price in Salt Lake? Was it stupid, like San Diego stupid?
Jason Lewis used to tell people, like, the numbers I'm selling to wholesalers make no sense. I cannot figure it out at all. You know, there is a kind of mob mentality when things are going up, where they think it's just going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's always a bad way to buy something based on projections up. It might be good to buy it with the projections down, but, you know, he would tell people, like, people would come into the business, he would get, I wouldn't wholesale you this house at the price that I can sell it to somebody else, because I think it's a horrible buy. Like, he would wholesale houses at 100% of ARV.
Oh my
So it didn't make any sense. The market was so hot. So places, and Boise, everybody said was crazy also.
Made no sense in Boise.
Well, the ones that go crazy up, you know.
They go hard down. Right. Austin, same thing. What about in the Hudson Valley, Devon? What are you seeing?
So I agree with everything you said pretty much.
Thank you.
You know, it seems like everything, you know, any wholesale deal you had, you know, last year, it was flying off the shelves. Now it's much harder to get a house sold, and buyers are much more skittish. They're looking for much better deals. You know, they're much more weary. You know, it seems like everyone's got their ears up. You know.
Yeah, they're asking you for the ARV. They're asking you for the repairs, which I still don't give.
And it just seems like I have a couple of houses on the market, that for sale, and slowing
Retail to retail buyers.
Yeah, retail, and the showings are down like a lot.
Oh yeah.
We don't have as many offers as we used to have. So, and this, it's just beginning. So, the media is covering this like crazy. So the mob mentality that you were talking about, that rode the wave up. Now they're all talking about, oh, you've been hearing the market's going down. What
by
are
the
you
way,
hearing?
I wish there was more media coverage negative about the market. I don't think there's enough.
Yeah.
I think they're there.
I think it's starting to come out.
Like I want to see it on nightly news. Like every night.
Yeah, it's not.
Housing
It's on
crash
YouTube.
coming our way, right?
It's not on the main
we're
media.
We're all looking at real estate sites.
Yeah. We have a
Real
bias
Deal
towards
and
that, yeah.
We get stuff pushed to us because of real estate, but like the average guy who's got a house, I'm still speaking to sellers who think the market's higher.
Yeah,
no.
I think it's 50-50 for what I'm seeing. I see a lot of sellers that still think the market is on fire, and then I'm hearing other sellers be like, oh, I've heard.
I think it's the time to sell now.
I heard rumblings.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. It's like rumblings.
Right.
Nothing has happened.
I want
yet.
it to be clear that the market's going down, even though it may or may not be because the media doesn't get it right most of the time. But I want there to be a perception with sellers that the longer I hold this, the less it's going to be worth. That's really what. And I haven't seen it. I've been doing this full time for 10 years.
Yeah.
And part time for a long time before that. And I've never had that luxury of somebody thinking. I've had for 14 years people saying, well, it'll be worth more if I
Which was true.
And I want the sellers to be thinking it'll be worth less if they hold on.
So do you think that's going to come soon?
I
or
hope
you think
so, but I don't know.
I'm baiting that now with people a little bit. And I'm being honest. I said, listen, if the market continues, especially in San Diego, it's like, hey, I mean, this house is worth 800 now, and I don't want to like lie to you, but I'm being honest. Most likely this will be 775 in 6 months.
Right. So I say,
and that's an honest answer.
But some people don't believe it.
And then they're pissed.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was telling Devon this, or I was telling someone this yesterday. I told this lady in San Diego, it was in Spring Valley, nice, dumpy area, but expensive. And I like doing deals over there. And she calls me, and it was a cattle call. Like 17 investors, Redfin's there. Every wholesaler and their brother is trying to bid on this house. I didn't even go out to the house. I'm like, I'll make you an offer over the phone, and I'm going to stick to my guns at 500. She's like, oh, I'm selling it for 780. I'm like, 780? I'm at 500. I said, good night, Jim Kite. Like, not much I can do there. She calls. I said, and I was being honest. I said, Connie, give me a call if it doesn't work out, and I hope it does work out. She calls me 2 days ago. Greg, fell out of escrow. Oh,
shocking.
Connie, I can't believe that.
Shocked.
I said, well, what are you going to do now? I'm going to sell it to the second highest bidder. Who's that? Redfin, 700. I said, good luck. It's just,
The sellers are also going to push the narrative that makes sense for them. You know what I mean?
They're going to justify.
So they're going to say, oh, the market's still hot. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I had a guy yesterday call me a house in Bayshore, and that's where Devon grew up, by the way. And houses there are going for like $400,000 or $500,000, and he wanted $850,000 for the house.
Oh, jeez.
And I said, why? And he goes, well, it's a big lot. It's an acre, and I rent most of the lot for parking to some guy who pays me $5,000 just to park his trucks on.
A month. They just
And he rents the house, and he lives in the house.
So he's trying to sound like a cap rate.
So he's getting like exactly.
Yeah.
So I go, you're getting like $8,000 a month in rent. I go, why don't you just keep renting? And he goes, I need the money. I want to move to Minnesota. I said, okay, I'll just be perfectly straight with you. I was about to go on an appointment, about to go there. I go, there's no way in hell I can pay you anywhere near $800,000 for the house.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, what can you pay? I go, houses, I probably can't even pay you $400,000 for the house. So it didn't work for him. But that's, people have perception in their mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I need is like a barrage from the media hitting them every day saying, there's blood.
Sell,
blood in the streets, right?
Yeah.
Get in there and sell.
There's definitely fear, like, with inflation and stuff like that. That's what, like.
Right. I think logically they understand that, like, rates went up a lot, and that's going to affect it.
Yeah.
But that's like for the overall market, but not my house. My house.
Yeah.
I think people are they're just holding on to the narrative that's been happening for the last 14 years.
14 years, right? Yeah. I think the bottom was 2008, right? So now we're 14 years later, which is very long.
In an up market.
Very long for an up cycle.
And people thought COVID was going to do it, and it exploded the opposite.
I
was scared for a month with COVID. I was scared for a month.
I was shocked. I thought it was going to be a disaster, and it was the exact opposite.
It was the exact opposite.
I was real nervous.
I remember I put a fix and flip on the market like in February. Or no, in the springtime. So after COVID initially started,
April, May,
shaking in my boots, and it sold at a good price at market value. I looked at that property the other day, went up $120,000 in value.
Yeah,
in Middletown.
Well, the last 2 years were totally unreasonable.
Crazy.
So when you think about what happened in the last 2 years, I mean, it only makes sense that it's something. Something. It can't go like that forever.
No, I'm a big believer that the reason why it went up countrywide.
Yeah, why do you think it's interesting?
It's because of the eviction and foreclosure moratoriums. Because think about how many properties would have come to the market where they didn't have to. So I bought a bunch of properties where people hadn't paid rent in 3 years.
Yeah.
People wouldn't have been in their house.
No.
It would have been vacated, and someone would have bought it, and that's normal. Like that, the normal movement that takes place. So like the eviction and foreclosure moratorium, as most government programs are, they make you feel good, like, oh, we're helping these poor people that can't get out because they're going to die of COVID.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually do good. It screws things up. So we had an artificial reduction of houses available because these would have been evicted because people weren't paying rent or foreclosed on. You know, people leave those houses.
Yeah.
Not even that it has to go through the whole legal process, but if a guy can't pay rent and the eviction process starts, they're going to get out.
Yeah.
And those people have not had to get out. So that's, I think, COVID was like the what's the word I'm looking for? A really good example of government intervention that affected the prices. And now
negatively,
things are getting a little better. At least the people that weren't paying rent realize they're going to have to get out, and that's releasing those in the market. That's my opinion. I don't. May or may not be true, but that's my opinion.
Oh, that was
the interest rates mixed with that. It was just like a
correct, crazy low interest rates.
So now transitioning to like we kind of talked about our New York area. Now, what are you guys doing to make offers? And I guess I'll start because I started the question. I'm basically going in, and I'm like, I just was at a house yesterday in Poughkeepsie, and I wholesaled the house across the street, and then he gave me the neighbor's number, and that house is horrendous inside. I hope he's not listening, but he knows. Bad, like mold on the toilet.
We won't say his name.
Yeah, I will not say his name. Nice guy, though. CP. And I give his initials. But
why?
Anyway, so I was at this house, and the neighbor's house's ARV is like 425 to 430. I told you about it in the car. And this guy across the street who I'm trying to buy, his house is not as nice, and it's smaller, and you can't count the basement as square footage because there's no way out. So I got that thing in the old market, $399 all day long. That'll blow right out through the roof. Now it's $375, and that's how I'm looking at that deal.
Yeah.
So he actually, this is interesting. I'm like negotiating in this changing market. I'm in this guy's living room yesterday, sitting on a beach chair because he has a beach chair and then 2 regular tables, and I'm like sitting down like this, and they're both looking at me, and I'm like sitting here like hello, and he wants $300,000 for the house. And in the back of my head, I did the napkin math. I'm like, I need to pay like $150 for this house. Because it needed like 85 to 100 grand, and like if I'm taking that risk on, I need to make a big. Because I would have fixed and flipped it. Like it's a good deal.
Okay.
So I'm like in the back of my head, I'm like, I need to offer this guy $150. So I didn't do it on the spot. I did it yesterday, but I did it when I was charging the car because I needed to breathe and process how I was going to pitch it to him. So this is how I handled it. I said, Carl, I said his name. I will give you an offer. Cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. I'll give you an offer.
Mr. Seller.
Mr. Seller, I will give you an offer either today or tomorrow at the latest. So I called him later, and he's a very analytical guy. And I can tell he doesn't want to do the work because the house needs a lot of work. He's a super nice guy, like not a like weirdo, straight shooter. And I'm like, listen, I can make you an offer, but you're not going to like it. So I want to go over what your other options are before I get to the offer. So I was like, you can fix it up, you could do this. And I told him exactly what he needs to do to get it financeable because the bathrooms really just need to get repaired, which is the main problem, and then the furnace. And he's like, I don't want to do that. What's your offer? And I'm like, do you want to guess? And he didn't want to guess. I want
$290.
Yeah. No.
I like that. Do you want to guess?
Yeah. Or I'll say, what do you think it is? That's my favorite. And then I have them say something crazy.
Yeah.
I never did that, but it's actually
it works.
Good tactic.
It works.
Yeah.
I may have taught sales training once or twice. But anyway, I said, I'm at like 145, 150. And he wasn't that shocked.
Oh.
He was like, I get it. You got to make money. He didn't accept the offer yet.
Great.
He didn't accept the offer yet.
They start justifying it. I love it. I love that.
So like he's like, he might take the offer, I think.
I use the Martinez tactic where I make them beg me for the offer at least twice, sometimes 3 times.
Yeah.
I go, I have a number, but you're gonna hate it.
Yeah, you gotta
you're gonna hate me.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't even want to insult you. And then they go, well, just tell me the number. So that's 1. And I go, I don't even think I should give it to you. I know what you're looking for. I can't even come close. So I think this might be a big waste of time. Once in a while they'll go, okay, but but most of the time they're like, just tell me the number. I know you got to make money. And then I'm like, and I don't give round numbers ever. So I would be like, $151,613. And then the best thing is listening to after. So sometimes it's like, oh, that's like the best thing.
I paid too much.
That's the best thing I could hear. Oh, okay. Or like, all right. we're not that far off. And sometimes it's like, you're right, it's not good, but it's fine. Either way, I thought when I used to just drop a number on them, I would have people screaming at me. Oh, I told you I need 300,000. Why are you offering me 100,000? Are you crazy? So using that Martinez method or your method avoids the conflict.
You're softening the blow big time.
It softens the conflict. If they beg me for it 3 times,
they're not
they can't be angry when they give it to me.
When you tell them it's going to be low.
When I give it to them, I already warned them.
Yeah, you give it a soft.
But you're also you're planting seeds in their mind, right? They may think you're offering lower than you're actually going to offer. So
you want to know another quick trick I did with this guy yesterday? I learned this from good old Eric Brewer, the GOAT. That guy's like the king of deals. He's the best. He talks about this whole like price anchoring where you don't tell them the number, but you seed a lower number in a different conversation. So he was explaining to me, like I was explaining to him like closing costs and all that kind of stuff. So I said, so imagine I bought your house for like $50,000. And I was like, I'm not going to buy it for $50,000, by the way, but I said $50,000 as a seed.
Wow.
And then like 5 minutes later, we started talking.
It's an anchor. It's by the way, I don't do that every time, and I should do it every single time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's say you want to pay $200 and you go, what I've done sometimes is I've got, I'd love to buy this at $150,000. I said, that's not my offer. But just that's
you're warming them up,
right?
Greasing the wheels,
and then when you come in at 200, it sounds a lot better.
Sounds reasonable.
Did you ever read Daniel Kahneman's book Thinking Fast and Slow?
I've read parts of it, not the whole thing.
It's a long.
I've heard it's a good book.
Or Persuasion by Cialdini.
I've read Cialdini's book.
So that's a big deal. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but but price anchors work. It doesn't make sense, right?
It's psychological, bro.
It's
It's how the brain operates.
Real psychology. When they hear that low number and you come in higher, your number seems better.
Much better.
If you do this the other way around, your number would seem worse.
Yeah.
Everything is psychology.
And especially now in this changing
100%.
market, like I'm actually dealing with more logical, well, sometimes logical sellers. And I'm actually like this guy yesterday was very logical. He's like very methodical and he has all these cool like systems in his house. So I knew his personality. I had to logically walk him through why my offer was that low. I just
people need that justification.
Yeah, and I'm like,
listen, you're better at this than me for sure, but it's never a logical decision. It's always an emotional decision.
The ultimate decision.
But some people that are more analytical, they need you to do those things.
They see the math.
But like when I find new people in the business, they're like, here are the comps. Your house is a piece of shit. These houses are much more. I need to make this much money, and I'm like, that is never ever the way that you sell it to them. Never. You have to use psychology to get them to do it.
Yeah, it's all rapport. This is business
100%. But I'm saying people think that. Yeah. Well, if I show him that the house is going to be worth $600,
they don't care about that.
Worth, it's like no, you're not going to.
They're going to tell you to get lost.
They may think the house is worth $800,000 whenever it's done. You can't. Like facts almost never work.
What do they say? Facts tell, stories sell. What's that?
Facts tell.
Ed Milet.
I like that
quote there. He probably got it from someone else, but. That's how we're dealing with the market. So what are you doing, at least in Long Island, to like how are you looking at ARVs? Like what are you doing?
So I'm pulling back 5 to 10% on my ARVs.
Are you looking at actives and pendings as comps, or are you still looking at?
So I don't look at pendings because I don't really know what the hell they're pending.
I love pendings now. That's what I love.
Well, I call the agents sometimes.
Sometimes I'll call them, but a lot of times they don't tell me. Sometimes I have to lie.
Sometimes you get a good one though that'll tell you exactly.
Sometimes, but if you want a really good way to get it from an agent, this works. It's complete falsehood. I'll call them. And I'll call them. I'll say, Mike, I'm an appraiser.
Oh.
I got it. The bank is busting my ass to get this done, and I need a pending comp, and your house is across the street.
Oh, okay.
And I'm begging you to just tell me how much it's in contract for, so I can.
Yeah.
That works better than asking because a lot of the realtors in my area are such bastards and bitches that they never want to give that out. Well, I'm not telling you. Why should I tell you? So sometimes I'll go straight to the line.
Well, you are an appraiser. You're appraising your own property.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's
anything you can justify.
It's an investigator.
Yeah. I will not. It's an out and outright lie. But it works sometimes. But I find that pendings they're hard for me to get the numbers on them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for. And I don't look at actives either.
You don't look at actives.
I looked at. I
go back 30 days on sold max now.
I'm looking at that's another thing.
Max on one key.
Definitely.
30 days, maybe 60,
right,
maybe.
We're all on the same.
Yeah, we got the same system.
The actives I'll look at just to see how fast it got an accepted offer. That's really.
If I see no accepted offer,
just
I start
the days on market
panicking.
Because sometimes you'll see it says
accepted
AO
offer
with multiple offers, highest and best, and then you're like, all right.
I don't see a lot of that anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What?
AO multiple offer situation. That's rare.
I think people write that, but it's from 3 months.
It used to be.
From 3 months.
Yeah. Now it's not.
Some agents just put it in there, so it's like it looks.
Well, that's the problem in New York because of the freaking contract. You don't sign an escrow deal on the spot. You go into that.
I'll put in some of my listings. Multiple offers expected.
Yeah. You're trying to beef it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So that's what you're basically taking 5 to 10%,
5 to
and
10%, and saying and doing my calculations based on a lower ARV.
Now, how about on the wholesale side? What are you guys doing? Because I'll start again. Like on the wholesale side, I want to put the deals out now at a number that's not going to get the guy to close the email down. Because like it used to be like you could sell a crappy deal, quite frankly, and some knucklehead would buy it. I'm just being honest. But now, if it's like a shitty deal, they're just not even going to even respond.
Yeah.
I still want to, like with our system with the submissions, like we basically blast the email because Devon and I have the same buyers list. We basically share it like investor lift style. And like we'll put it out and then all the prospects from that blast.
You're using active campaign?
Yeah, I use active. But then I put all the prospects who respond from that campaign in a spreadsheet.
How are they responding?
Either email or text. It says it in the copy. So then I'll have like my spreadsheet of like for 123 Main Street, I have 5 people interested.
Yeah.
Although I've been using a tactic that I realized.
The forms.
That Google form.
Yeah.
Use it?
I don't use it yet.
I
gotta use that.
tell
That's
everyone.
It's super.
That's for
explain
buyers.
So I have a Google form that I
Smart.
attach a separate form every single time.
Yeah, this is good.
In my active campaign that I send out.
In the button,
it's like click here to make an offer.
Mm-hmm.
They go into a Google form and ask them their contact information. It asks a bunch of other questions. I'm happy to share it with you if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, so then people will still call me, text me, or email me. And I say to them, I promise you, I'm not going to remember this conversation in 13 seconds. You have to place the order because then I go through all the offers, and I won't sell it until I speak to everybody who placed an offer.
Wow.
And it works.
Yeah.
And then I can easily do it. So I just had this deal that fell apart. So I had all the offers in one place.
That's what I use. I use the spreadsheet. It's the same. It's similar,
Right,
but I have
so
all the
much
data
easier.
in there.
And then I get other information from too. They're not honest with it, but I ask them,
how are you buying it?
Are you using all cash or using hard money? I ask them, what do you think the repair estimate is? Sometimes they usually low ball or high ball on the repairs.
Yeah.
What do you think the ARV is? And they
Low ball, yeah,
of course.
But still, it's good.
repairs.
It's good, right?
No, that is good because I've had tons of deals that fall out. You think you have
The
a buyer
buyer
falls
bails.
out. Now
Yeah.
you're
If you have them all in one place,
email.
it's much easier.
Yeah.
Jason Lewis turned me on to it.
That was from
Great.
Fuel, right?
That was from Lewis. He's great.
So how are you pricing your wholesale products now on Long Island? Because
I'm
Devon,
pricing them the same, right? So I think I priced them in general.
what 80% of
I'm
it?
trying to buy them at 70 of ARV after repaired value minus repairs and put them out at around 80.
Yeah,
80% of ARV minus repairs.
I'm doing the same thing. Like I'm trying to do 5%, 10%
Yeah.
off or whatever, and it's the same for a rehab, a rental, or a wholesale. So basically, just get the good deal and then figure out what I want to do with it next. That's pretty much my.
I'm
strategy.
getting less greedy too with the wholesale deals. Like obviously I want to make the most I possibly can, but if I know, for example, Rick Jones is a buyer who's bought from me before and he's gonna close and he's $5,000 less than Bob No Name, and I don't know Bob No Name from Adam.
Yeah.
Bob No Name is not buying that deal for me. Like I got a guy right now, and nice guy, but he hasn't performed yet. Like we're waiting to close, and I don't know him from Adam.
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna close, but really, he was the only ass for that seat.
Yeah.
So I had no one else to fall back on.
Oh, if you
Then
got
you have
one
no
guy,
choice,
then you
yeah.
go with the guy.
Yeah, so
course.
so it is what it is. That's not a good spot to be in as a wholesaler, but it is what it is sometimes.
No, but and sometimes it
It
works
happens.
out. It happens, and sometimes it works out.
You get these unicorn buyers, right?
Yeah.
I had a buyer who paid me more than everyone else. I thought he was going to flake out, and he closed.
He
It
closed.
happens.
Yeah, and then he's a good buyer for
in the future,
next time. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you think?
By the way, sometimes those guys are only one off. Like
Yeah.
Well,
Sometimes you never
because
hear from
they
them
get
again.
they get cleaned out, right? They don't make any money.
I was showing Devin I did a monster wholesale deal in Cornwall.
Flood zone
City, could have a water park at this place. And, this thing was a disaster. And sold it at a great price, sold the shovel. Guy bought it.
It's gonna be a clean
it's a
out?
full-blown root canal of this thing. And I'm not laughing at his misery, but he made an adult decision to buy a piece of property.
No, he
had
might
all
make
the
a few
facts.
bucks.
The
But
transaction was consensual.
exactly.
So,
boy.
Oh my gosh. Oh, but where do you think the market's going to, both of you, where do you think the market's going to be in 12 months from now? 2023, August,
I honestly, I have no idea.
If you had to guess, if you had a crystal ball, as John
I'll
Mark.
tell you what I hope. What I hope is that it's pretty much around the same. Maybe we're down a little bit.
Yeah.
But but the media is screaming from the top of the rooftops how everything is going down taking a crap.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. But who knows? There's no way to know. Anybody who says they know is full.
complete.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's all localized. So
Yeah.
True,
we're
too.
talking
By the way,
about
it's
New
different.
York.
It's different all over the place.
So
Even within New York, our
Of
markets are
course.
different.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
over.
You go way up north,
Even
it's much
counties wise,
different.
even some counties
yeah.
are different. Like county to county, Suffolk, Nassau, Orange, Rockland.
Yeah. So, I think it is gonna go down a bit. I would say maybe. I think when the wintertime comes, it naturally slows down. So I think that combined with the whole narrative that's starting to spin up might have an effect come winter and springtime where it's like starting to take a dip, maybe 5 to 10%. We'll see. Who knows? If it doesn't happen, great. But if it does happen, great. You just got to position yourself in a way that
100%.
You make money either way.
Where do you think the rates are going to be? That's the question, right? Where are those rates going to be?
Well, inflation the last
months?
month was a little lower, right? The thing.
Wasn't it the same?
It was. I think it was a little lower, but who knows? I mean, it's.
Listen, we all know gas prices come down a lot, so it's going to affect the numbers. Yeah,
I don't even
but
really.
$1 less. Well, because you drive a Tesla.
Well, in San Diego, I have a gas car though.
Are you allowed to drive that in San Diego? Southern California, I don't think.
Newsom is going to throw me in the pen.
Didn't they shut all the gas stations
Well,
down?
by the way,
Southern
I was
California?
actually in Carlsbad waiting for pizza to get cooked, and I walked into an open house down the street, and I was talking to the broker. By the way, they were trying to sell this thing at $1,000 a foot. Good luck, Chuck, in that area. Anyway, I hope it works out. But it's ridiculous. It was like next to like a glorified RV park, and I was like, yeah, word. But the dude was telling me by like some weird year, San Diego's getting rid of all gas. All gas like
2035.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
stoves.
Stoves? Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Oh, that's natural gas. That's not a bad.
That's what I said.
That's crazy.
I said, is it going to be SDG&E or just SDE?
So
San Diego
what are
Gas
they going to have propane?
Electric.
That's not better for the environment. That's worse for the environment.
Well, listen,
but then how are they getting the electric?
we should go to Sacramento after this.
Are they burning the coal in California to get the electric? So that's
or nuclear or natural. It's funny. So you're gonna most new electric plants are natural gas. So you can't use natural gas to cook your food that you want to, but you're getting electricity from a plant that's burning tons of natural gas.
Anyway,
that's a wacky state.
I thought you were gonna tell me to get rid of gasoline cars. There's gonna be no gas station.
Well, that was in 2035, right?
Whack jobs, man.
What's his name? Newsom wants to do that.
Yeah, it's disaster.
Hopefully he'll run for president and not become the governor again.
Bring back Schwarzenegger. I'm still a New York resident. Anyway. I should probably.
All right, so back to the predictions. Yeah, I would if I was gonna give a prediction.
You were a betting man.
I would say the rest of 2022 will be okay. 2023 will be a little slower, and then after that, I don't know.
I think that's a reasonable. Yes.
Yeah, 2023 might be when you see a little dip, but after that, who knows what's gonna happen.
I mean, I just think that the main thing that Michael said earlier that is not gonna like scare too many of us is there really is a supply and demand issue.
Yeah.
There's not like in 2000. So you were around back then. Like there was just a house's inventory was everywhere. You could just drop your hat and pick up a deal.
Right, and I wasn't really doing it full time then, but there were people who were literally buying things on the MLS because banks
big money.
Because banks were dropping them and then they were just putting back on the MLS for $50,000 more. I've never had that.
I wish that I'd cut all my marketing.
If I bought something on the MLS and put it back for $50,000 more, everyone would call me and go, "What the hell is going on?"
I've done it twice. It's spooky. No, because you get like a good deal off market, and then they like that one. Remember the lady called you from SEO, and you were like, "Hey, I shouldn't buy this," and you.
Right, but she listed it for $699. I bought it for $450. Right, so
it's unbelievable.
But when sellers, I mean, it's off topic, but when sellers call me and say my house is listed, I say we're probably not going to do business.
Yeah,
it's a waste.
And they always want to know why.
Whenever I get a call, I type it in and it's on the market. I'm like,
Yeah, I see the Zillow MLS ID and I go.
You see the number.
I'm like, Brad, call him tomorrow. Waste of time.
Right. Now, occasionally, it's so funny. So one of my lead managers killed a deal yesterday, but it was for sale it was listed for like $100,000 less than the Zestimate and less than all the other places were telling me. So I'm like, don't kill that one so fast. Call her and see if I can go take a look. But usually it's the other way. They're listed $100,000 more than the
Zestimate. They're like, well, I figured I'd get a cash offer too. I'm like, word.
Right. But then Zestimate always finds its way over to whatever it's listed at.
Yeah. Have you found the Zillow to be that accurate in our area? San Diego, it's really good.
I use it as a tool, but I know.
Yeah, it's nice to just look at quick when you're like, when someone's on the phone, you pull it up, you see what they say versus the Zestimate.
Yeah.
I had a property that I went into contract in with his estimate was off by over $1 million.
Where was this?
This was in East Hampton.
Wow.
Oh, was that the one with the deposit?
Yes.
Can you tell that story real quick, by the way?
Sure.
I love this story.
Sure. So
I
went. The Zillow I thought was a plus because I thought everybody I would wholesale to would look at it and see it was the Zestimate was over $2 million. Right. So it's in East Hampton. Their houses, their mansions there for $20 million.
Wow.
But apparently this house was in the one little sliver of East Hampton that was not, and it was a big house. It needed a lot of work to make it worth what it should be. and I put $100,000 deposit, and I was going to buy it for around $1 million. I figured it's
Wow.
a no-brainer. I can wholesale this for $1.2 million. And
What was the ARV? $2 million bucks?
that's a good question. I don't even know what the actual ARV was.
Yeah.
You could certainly find comps for over $2 million if you want.
Yeah. Because you
And
go
they-
price per square foot out there.
One of the big
you know?
builders there was actually building right in that area, like on that block, and was pre-selling houses for like $3 million. New construction.
Wow.
So I'm like, you got to be crazy not to buy this for 1.2 if you're a guy who wants to rehab it. And then, thank God, I realized I was in it for too high, and I had an out in the I didn't really have an out in the contract, but there was a scenic easement on the back half of this property.
Was there an ocean view here?
No, but it was up against a preserve.
Oh, okay.
And the rules were they couldn't build like 30 feet away from the preserve. You weren't allowed to build anything. And I wanted to put a pool there. Like that, my dream was to put a pool there. And I went to, I have a litigation attorney, and I go, do I have any grounds to get out of here? And he goes, believe it or not, you do. I go, why? He says, because you bought this as is, but they specifically listed utility easements as a reason not to get out of the contract. Because they said the word utility, and you have a scenic easement, we can try and get the money back. So the seller was like, I'm not giving you any money back. I'm going to keep this.
Oh, he was hard and fast?
And his attorney told him, and he believed, and I know this because I had 7 other people put in offers on it to figure out what was going on with this guy. He thought for sure he's getting $100,000 back. He ended up selling it for like $850,000. So I was in contract a little over $1 million.
Wow.
And we sued for the $100,000 back, and we got it all back.
How much was the legal? What did you end up losing on that deal? 10 grand?
Probably less than 10 grand.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No,
and you learned a lot.
I learned a lot. I learned that the language.
How long did that litigation process take?
Probably 9 months.
9 months?
Maybe a year. But he sold it. So really, that was the price, right?
He sold it for $850,000.
The price was $850,000.
To a flipper?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably.
Did he go live on the MLS, or did he
He was on the MLS. He was asking like 1.2.
And this is going on while you're in litigation.
Right. I'm watching it the whole time. I'm refreshing 1,000 times. And I'm calling the realtor and asking him what's going on. He's calling me back with a fake name and a bullshit number. It was the whole thing. And I'm like, I had pretty much resigned to the fact that I was going to lose $100,000.
Yeah.
Because my attorney told me, he goes, they might get this whole thing. He goes, we sent it. The courts take forever, and it was during COVID, and it took a long time. And he's like, I sent them a response. He goes, we could win, we could lose, we can go to trial. I don't know what's going to be. And then he called us and said we won. I was thrilled.
That's amazing.
So what made you decide that it was too much? Like you didn't.
Yeah. What was your?
Okay, so one of the factors was like, hey, Zillow saying it's worth $2 million. There are $2 million comps around, and I put it out to my list, and I got 2 people who jumped on it.
Oh yeah.
They were like, we'll pay $1.2 million for this in a second.
Wow.
This is great. And then of course, the day after my deposit check clears, both of those guys were like, oh, yeah, we're not buying it.
Oh,
They disappeared.
man.
So I'm like, that's not good. And nobody wants it. I put it out like at my price. Nobody wanted it. That's what led me to believe that it's probably too high.
Yeah.
And guess what? The truth is, if I would have really bought it, it is possible that I would have done okay with it. But I didn't want to take that risk.
That's a big risk.
job,
That's a big,
huge house,
yeah,
8
big
bedrooms, 6 bathrooms,
It's like a mansion.
big house,
big rehab.
but old, everything old
Yeah.
in the house. Big lot,
When was
but
it built in the 50s?
maybe the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's a huge project.
And it's a big project, and I have to put in a pool. You know how much a pool costs in the Hamptons? Plus,
Oh, yeah.
plus what was going on during COVID. Like, you call the pool guy, I'll tell you, I'll call you in 3 years.
Yeah.
I have to put a pool in, right? No one's
Everything's
gonna
gotta be top
No
notch,
one's gonna
too.
pay. Yeah, I have to do top notch work.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be in this for like $400,000, and then maybe I'll make money, maybe I'll lose. So
You might as well move to the Hamptons at that point, honestly.
Right. On some level, I thought, even if I lose 100, I might be better off. Like I might end up losing more.
Well, yeah, if you
And plus, think about how much cash I'd have to put into it. It's like,
And
oh
just
my,
the
the
time and the
overhead and the
hassle.
hard money loans,
The
on that,
headache
dude,
you would have to
that's-
deal with.
So I
You don't even live near the
I
Hamptons.
learned a lot of
2
lessons
hours
on
away.
that. That was the big problem. It was very far.
You got to just go straight down that.
So if it's very far,
Parkway.
very far was a problem. The price point was a problem. My lack of knowledge in the area was a problem. That was a good learning.
They don't even use the MLS out there. Isn't it like a different
They
thing?
have a different MLS.
It's
They
like
have
a
their
cult
own
out there.
stupid MLS. It's like parts of Staten Island.
What is it? The one key MLS out here though?
In theory, but then within those little
Hamptons.
things, the Hamptons has their own MLS. They only want people who pay their MLS dues.
And Staten Island's different.
Staten Island also. There's
I
like
hate how there's different MLSs.
Dutchess County MLS. That's garbage show.
I wish they just all
It's
did
like
the same
old
one. I don't
It's like the
understand.
old LIBOR MLS.
I'm still on LIBOR. You say it's one key, but I'm still on LIBOR.
What's LIBOR? That's the
Long
that's
Island
before-
Board of Realtors. It's called
Oh, okay.
Stratus.
Yeah, but you're on Stratus still? I
Yeah.
thought you're on one key.
it's one key, but you guys have a different MLS than us.
Different system?
The only difference is they share information.
Oh, okay.
Like when they combined the first time, I was all excited. So I go to look up something in Orange or Rockland. There's no comps. I'm like, what's going on? So they didn't say, hey, we're going to take all the old information and put it in. They just said, over time, you'll get all the comps in there. That's what,
yeah.
So by now,
man.
a year later, now
I can see everything in Long Island.
now you can see everything. But when it first came, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, you can type in something in Long Island, I can see it in 2 minutes, dude. It's
Right, and it's good. It's very good. But
I think
again,
the beds and baths are garbage out here. There's no
beds and baths. How about no square footage?
That's what I meant. The square footage.
You can't put you don't have to put square footage.
Long Island.
So they
Suffolk
said
County is like the worst I've ever seen.
they said when they're going to combine to one key, they're going to require
my
square footage.
God.
I'm like, hallelujah. It would be nice if we knew square footage.
Horrible.
What do you mean they didn't put it in?
It's still not required.
What?
Same in Jersey.
So they said in Nassau we're going to require it because there's really one website you can go to that'll show what's supposed to be the square footage in Nassau, but in Suffolk we're not going to require it because it's too hard. So I'm like, okay, at least in Nassau, and then
It's so weird.
and then they never enforced it. So I can still put in a listing with no square footage. So I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, Suffolk County's brutal. Nassau, like there's my Nassau property is like a legit,
Right. So that'll give you what square footage is on the books for the county,
well, not with the permits and all the.
but you never know what's actual.
Orange County's got great data.
They have good data. Yeah.
got
It's easy to
it's the
use.
best.
You guys
Image
have
mate.
much better data than us.
Yeah,
when
it's
you go
good.
to when you go to PropStream, you can get real good data from yours. You can't get half that stuff by us.
Wow.
Westchester's a little funky. Rockland's pretty good.
You guys have much better.
Duchess is good.
You guys have much better
Yeah.
public data than
Yeah,
we do.
I have no complaints about it.
Yeah, it's the Image Mate is the best. Ulster's good. Image Mate.
Image Mate is good too. Yeah,
Image
it's
Mate's
easy
great.
to use.
By
for the
Nassau,
taxes
on
and
Nassau, I
everything.
can get
Image Mate?
I can get everything recorded since 1980.
Oh,
on
that's
one
great.
Site, as long as I have a section block and lot. But
Well,
in
you do most of your
Suffolk,
stuff in Nassau,
you
right?
can't.
Mostly Nassau.
I do most
Tried
of
it?
Nassau, but Suffolk comes up. That's why I almost need PropStream just for Suffolk.
Oh,
To give me information. It'll give me some.
I wonder where PropStream's like. That's the thing. It's like, where the hell are they getting that? Like, if we're local guys, how can't
Suffolk
we?
data is available, but every single town is different. And I guess
Okay.
PropStream figures out how to get it.
That's like New Jersey. It's like town of Hillsdale, Townville.
well, talking about
it's all a
MLSs
shit show.
in New Jersey, every single county is a separate MLS.
Bergen,
You
Morris.
gotta sign if you're
Jersey?
doing like
Yeah,
5
Jersey's a
counties in
shit
Jersey. You
show,
gotta
dude.
sign up for 5 MLSs.
Oh
yeah,
my
Jersey's a
goodness.
shit
That's a lot of fun, right?
Oil
Yeah,
tank.
it's crazy.
It's mental.
We both got in trouble in Oakland, Devon and I, with septic tanks.
Oh yeah, because
I did one in Jersey with a buried tank and it worked out, but I had a cesspool disaster in Oakland and the guy went bananas on me. Like this,
Oakland,
New Jersey,
I'm
and
thinking of
Bergen.
Oakland
the
Company.
town has to do a
Oh,
septic
my-
inspection before.
it makes New York seem like
if
Texas.
you have a cesspool, they won't let you
Yeah.
close.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They won't even let you close. You can't. Like, it's unless it's a distressed sale.
It's only $15,000 put in a
In New
a new
Jersey,
septic.
New Jersey's brutal.
Yeah, but you have to do it with the permits.
I
and
think
all
New York
the
is easier than
garbage.
Jersey with the logistics.
Yeah.
New
Jersey
York,
has
you can
its
do
own
whatever you
secret.
want.
The buried oil tank is also
Yeah.
a huge pain in the ass in Jersey.
You know what I think?
Yeah.
I've noticed, like I'm doing
There was a
Pennsylvania
very-
right now, and there's all this water meeting bullshit that's done by the city. New York, you can do whatever the hell
do you
you
mean?
want. You have to. Seller has to get like this company out to do a final water reading, and you can't close without
only
that.
certain
New York,
parts.
you can
They
just.
do
No,
water
in the
readings.
Yeah,
in,
but it doesn't.
five
You don't
boroughs.
need to close.
In the 5 boroughs, you need that.
You need
But
that.
in Nassau and Suffolk, you don't need that.
Yeah,
'cause
they
it's
don't
private,
care.
It's private water.
Yeah, in Orange County, it's usually we'll pay it after. Or something.
Yeah, I'm like, leave it in escrow,
not a big
bro.
deal, yeah.
It's like $200.
The attorneys that do a lot of deals in New York City, they always asking me, "Hey, did you do
my gosh.
a reading?" I go, "No."
No.
They go, "Well, you have to." I go, "No."
yeah,
right.
right.
I'm
Private.
like,
I go,
get
"We'll
outta
get a
here."
bill, and what's the difference?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But they always
ridiculous.
look at it as there has to be an end date and a start date. The
Yeah.
truth is, in crazy places like the Village of Hempstead, they also want you to do it.
Village Hempstead. Where's communism? Where's that one?
Town,
Hempstead.
the town of North Hempstead. But I just saw an
Communism.
article yesterday where it said that they're being investigated.
The town is being investigated.
The building department is
For
being
what?
investigated. So it's so funny because like 10 years ago when I got into it, I was told, I don't know if it's true, that there was a lot of corruption in the town.
yeah?
And that people were taking bribes, and that things were going too fast, and they got caught, and some guys went to jail.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So the pendulum swung the other way. By the way, this pendulum is still all the way on one side. The pendulum hasn't
okay.
swung back because it's ridiculous.
Wow.
Just to give you, let me give you a couple examples. I ordered a FOIL request to find out what was open on a property. 6 weeks later, somebody called me and said, "You need to come down here and give us 50 cents because we have to
No.
redact the FOIL request." So I went down there with 2 quarters, gave it to them.
Oh no.
So literally, they can take a Sharpie and go like this, and they didn't give it to me. They go, "We'll send it to you." I never got it. That was 8 years ago. I'm still waiting for that.
No
They
way.
made me drive there to give them 50 cents for something stupid and never got it me.
That's
That's one.
crazy.
That's a perfect example. I had a property there that had some
What
permit
town was
issues.
this in?
Town of North Hempstead,
Oh, the town. Like that's okay. Okay.
and we needed a permit. We had applied for a maintain permit, right? Because all the work was done already,
Yeah.
Hey,
and we
just
applied for the
update it.
maintain permit.
Yeah.
So they said it should take let's say 4 months, a crazy number, 4 months. So after 4 months, I called them, can't get them on the phone. So I went down there. They go, oh yeah, it should be ready any day now. I go, really? They go, yeah. So I said, okay. I said, can I call you? She goes, no, you have to come in. So I went down to that stupid place in Manhattan.
Oh my God.
Every single
The 50-cent place.
every single business day for 4 weeks. I went there 20 times, and I never got one single piece of information about when it came.
Wow.
It came after I sold the house.
Oh,
I sold it,
with
like-
a credit or
God.
something. You give
I
me.
had to leave money in escrow, and I just told them.
So
to
do you do-
By
do
the
you
way,
do
by
business
with the
over there?
private, there are people who don't. It depends what the story is. They
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
and when it finally came in, the plans examiner hit my permit application with 600 things that I needed to do. Like it was impossible.
Gosh.
Wow.
To give you an example, there's a
It's out of
garage
control.
there's a garage that was built in the 50s probably.
Yeah.
They said I have to move the garage. Too close to the property line.
Move the
Like-
garage?
The garage.
Yeah, knock it down. It's
Oh.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh.
Dude, that's hard. I would never touch a deal with a 10-foot pole out there.
They're not. It's not normal.
See, I hate
during
when the towns
COVID-
get involved.
No.
During COVID,
Not
you
normal.
would ask for a FOIL request. All you want to do is look at the file.
Yeah.
That should take 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Come down, we'll pull the file, take a look at it. You needed to wait 6 weeks to get an appointment to go into the basement and get the file.
Oh my God.
And it's like, I don't know how people accept that as
That's
reality.
insane.
It's not
Yeah.
reality. And then permits take a year. So if it's
A
funny,
year.
if you look at things in the town of North Hempstead on the MLS, you'll see weird things. Like you see a thing that was in contract for 3 years. Why should something be in contract for 3 years? Answer, there was a permit issue and it took that long to clear it up. And
Oh
you see it all
my
over
gosh.
town North Hempstead is not normal.
So have you been like wrapped up for a while? Where something you couldn't sell because it was a permit issue or
No,
something?
I'll give them a credit or escrow
Yeah.
and get out of there. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah,
we
that's the
can't
way
deal
to
with
do
that.
it.
By the way, it ends up being so much better.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a negotiation, right?
Of
If
course.
they're really savvy, they're gonna ask for a lot.
What's the other one? Isn't there one in Suffolk that's Brookhaven? Isn't that bad?
Crookhaven.
Isn't that? I heard that. Someone told me that's a bad news.
It's hard.
bears
It's
over there.
harder. They're not as bad. What they like to do is they like to find empty properties, board them up, like without telling
The
anyone.
town?
They'll just they'll board the property up, and then they'll hit you with like a $4,000 lien for boarding the
Jeez.
place up. I bought a property,
Oh my
and I
God.
get there, it's all boarded up, and the seller didn't even know it was boarded up. She lived in another state.
Oh, they just go around and
Yeah, the seller didn't even know.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm like, it's boarded up. She goes, what the hell are you talking about? She goes, I didn't board it up. I take pictures. She goes, I don't know who did that, but it's a sign, unsafe. I think someone left the door open or something
Why would the town do that? It's just.
because they get money from it.
Oh yeah.
They put a lien on it.
Oh,
a
it's
lien
like
on
a
it.
construction lien.
Jeez.
So,
Dude, that's brutal, man.
but I don't know if Brookhaven's really worse than the other.
There's a
towns.
couple bad spots up by us, like Poughkeepsie. The city of
Poughkeepsie's
Poughkeepsie can
pretty
get
bad.
pretty bad.
Matt just did a deal there.
Middletown
He
can
got
get bad.
hosed
Oh, he
on.
got hosed up. I know.
He
I
had
have
to
a
give
good
a
rapport
credit
with
to
that.
the seller for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Permits and stuff.
By the
The
way,
cities are bad.
if I can get out of it with a credit,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
like,
I'll take a credit I'll
oh
do a credit
my
any
God.
day of the
And
week.
it's better than escrow.
I don't want to deal with the town.
I
at all.
avoid escrow too. But
I've
sometimes
done the escrow. I've done the escrow.
Sometimes I do the escrow, and they're like, well, you have to. Let's say we'll hold 10,000. That property in North Hempstead, they said 10,000 in escrow, and you have to try. I go, I'm gonna try real hard, and then I'm like, oh, just after a
Release.
year, I go, release. the
Yeah, yeah.
Release the escrow.
I'm not trying that hard.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So
But better is I'll just give you credit. But sometimes
Yeah.
they're like, no, we want you to take care of it. I go, oh, I'll take care of it. Just leave the money.
sure,
Yeah.
give me 20 minutes.
But the banks don't ever have a problem with closing with violations or any of that stuff? Like the mortgage companies?
Some do and some don't. So here's the truth. So I was in the mortgage business for 17 years. 99% of the lenders don't give a crap.
Yeah.
They're going to look at title, but they're not going to look at
munis search.
violation searches
Yeah.
because we're the only places that do municipal searches, right?
that doesn't
Yeah.
exist
Yeah,
anymore.
You go get title in other states, they don't even know what it is. So you're dealing with
Yeah.
some guy in Bank of America who's sitting in a center in Tampa. He doesn't
That is
know what
true,
it is.
yeah.
So they usually don't care. A couple of the local banks will look at it.
We'll
Some
say it, yeah.
jerk off attorney who works for some Flushing
Valley
City
Bank or-
or Valley Bank.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Look,
Yeah,
you have an
yeah.
unpermitted addition. This is
Yeah.
4 bedrooms, and the town's are 3 bedrooms. We can't have this. This will not pass.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's not. So, but I'm upfront with
my
it when there's
God.
an issue like that. So I tell the buyer, listen. Very often, there's unpermitted additions are everywhere.
That's
by us.
every other house.
Every
is
house,
permit.
right?
There's
So-
a lot of that. And
So what was the town of Orangetown? They said they do a physical.
I got
inspection.
jammed up on
So
that.
That's
I got
that's a
jammed up
problem. So
down
there's
there.
a
That-
village,
That was the Orchard House.
there's a
I got
village.
jammed
There's a
up.
village by me right here,
Yeah.
Village of Cedarhurst, where if you order a housing building search, they do
They
an
show
on-site inspection.
They show up.
That's a big deal. Right?
yeah.
That's a big deal. If you-
Rehab.
Right. If you have a basement that doesn't have a permit for a furnished basement or
Yeah.
a
It's a
bathroom,
disaster.
so you got to know those areas. It's a big deal. And
I'm jammed up on one right now in Nyack with the violations.
same kind of thing.
Same shit.
So if that was the case, you would just do a credit again to the seller or in the
Again,
buyer?
you have to know. So I had a deal I was going to buy in the village of Cedarhurst, but the guy had made it into an illegal 2-family, and like as an illegal 2-family, it was worth a lot. But the guy didn't really understand. I go, you don't understand. Whoever buys this is going to get titled. They're going to order an H&B search. It's housing and building search. The village is going to come here and hit you with a violation in a second.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to give you in a second.
Yeah.
So you just have to understand that what's involved. Right?
Yeah.
Like I realized
Yeah,
I couldn't keep this as an illegal 2-family. It never would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to know all these little nuances of
That's
the
once
building
again with New York real estate. If you're brand new,
Yep.
you come to the pros.
Right.
Another case to add to that. But
In fact, there was a property in Cedarhurst that went to the auction. I bid on it. I almost bought it. The land was worth like $800,000.
is that
Wow.
really expensive, Cedarhurst?
It's a high end area,
Crazy.
Yeah.
and it was a big lot. Right, you could build a big house there. The house was a disaster, but you can build a big lot. And I missed it by like $20,000. But like I realized I wasn't going to make any money. Like I'd sell it for, I think he bought it for like 800 or 815, and that's pretty much what it's worth.
Mhm.
And the guy built an illegal 2-family on it, and he spent a fortune.
He went ground up on it.
Beautiful. Put in a beautiful pool.
Yeah.
He built it without any permits or anything?
Apparently,
What?
I mean, he didn't build it. He there was a house there. And
There was
he
original.
kept the structure of the
Okay.
house.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I thought you meant he bought the land.
No,
Just went
But I'm
ground up
saying-
without
I'm
a
saying
permit.
I would have sold it to a builder who would have
Yeah.
knocked it down.
Okay.
This guy kept it, thought he was going to get away with it. It was listed for sale for 18 months. And
Oh my gosh.
And changed realtors 15 times. I said to the realtor, I'm like, do you understand that this is a big problem? There's that there's 2 front doors and that one has a kitchen here and one has a kitchen here, and you're in a village where they have to do an onsite. And she was like, yeah, he knows. I go, well, why don't you take that away and make it back into a single family? So he doesn't want to do that. He spent all the money already. And he did beautiful
Jeez.
work also. He spent a fortune. He probably spent $400,000 on it.
Oh my
Can he get a
God.
variance for that, or they're gonna just tell him to go fuck himself?
Never.
Jeez.
He'll
never
never get a variance for that.
Why? Why though? It's probably on
So there are-
sewer. Like, who gives a fuck?
No, so that's the way, because
gives a fuck?
I'll tell you, everywhere in Long Island, it's the same thing. They hate rentals. They hate them. They look at it as a rental.
Rent
Any
house.
rental, anything.
Yeah.
As these are people that are transient.
Yeah.
Maybe they vote, maybe they don't vote. The politicians look at it this way. Our responsibilities are to our constituents, our people who live here, people who own. Rentals are bad. They use our sewer system. They use the school system. They cause traffic. They have parking problems. That's how they look at
But
rentals.
yet it's impossible to evict them.
Right.
Go for
Middletown
that.
is like that too. They're real strict.
They like
They
single
don't
families.
like rentals.
So I had a
Yeah.
property in Elmont, which is town of Hempstead, which is usually reasonable.
That's your zone
It's
over there.
11,800 square foot lot, big lot, and it was being used as a 3-family, right? 1, 2, and 3 in the basement. And I bought it, and I'm like, you need 12,000 square feet to get a legal 2-family.
Lot.
You need 12,000 square feet. I was 200 square feet short, so I went for a variance. I figured they would give it to me. I'm 200 square feet short, and we presented that it's being used as a 3-family. We're going to reduce the occupancy. Denied.
And
So what did you have to do?
So what I do, I made it back into a 3-family, and I sold it lickety split.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't tell them. There was no violation on it. By the way, there was no issue.
because they didn't know.
Right.
They didn't know.
But I got denied. So I'm like, you're going to deny me? Fuck you. I'll put 3 jerkies in there and sell it to somebody, and that's it. That's what I did.
The one city, Middletown,
they're bad,
like if
dude.
you have a 4-family or something,
Fuck
they
it.
just made a rule that was like it's got to go back to a 2-family. Like
That's nice.
for nothing. And
What
people
about the 2 families there? Oh, we don't care. Just get rid of them.
Fuck them. Oh, by the way, you can't evict them. E-rep.
Right.
and then they have the owner occupied one where you have to live in it if you want it to be a 2-family.
Right.
If you don't live in it, it has to be a single
So I'm
family.
buying something now in
Yeah.
Babylon that has a legal accessory apartment. So
Yeah.
you have to live in it
Yeah.
So
to get the
But
accessory.
these ones are like they look like legit.
No, they're two-
duplexes.
there's-
like
no,
it's
there's
not
two-
a
right.
mother-daughter.
No,
type
there's
thing.
two doors. There's 2
Yeah,
meters.
it is a true.
It's a-
and it's been that way for 100 years.
Yeah,
and now they're
it's-
saying
they're so
you know,
stupid.
can't,
Sorry.
but yeah.
We don't
Sorry,
like-
Charlie.
It's ridiculous.
Speaking about evictions, Michael, every time I hang out with you, you know, what do they say? The repetition is the mother of all skill. Michael, how on earth, if I have a squatter break into my property and I call you, what should I expect?
So first of all, let's define what a squatter is, because people think anyone who's there and shouldn't be there is a squatter. So there are 4 people that can end up in your house that you don't want.
4.
4 types.
4 categories.
4 categories.
Got it.
Not 4 people. There could be a lot more. Than 4
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Could be a whole park.
Crack is popular, Michael.
4 types of people. The first is a previous owner, right? You could buy something in foreclosure and the owner is still there. The second is a tenant, so someone who had a lease or was paying rent and maybe now is or isn't.
Yeah.
The third, which I had never heard about, is a licensee, which is somebody that was allowed to move in. Maybe they were friends with the owner. Maybe they were the boyfriend of the owner.
Got it.
But just has overstayed their welcome. And the fourth is a squatter.
Oh, boy.
Squatter is somebody that moves into a vacant property and just sets up shop.
Sets up shit.
Right. And the problem, so normal people who are not psychopaths would say, well, if squatter moves into my house, I'm just going to call the police. And the police are going to get him out. And they would be mistaken because many squatters, not all, I've had squatters that really were like mentally ill. I did a property in Valley Stream, it was right near a beautiful park. And there were homeless people that lived there, and one moved in and she needed to go to a hospital and she came back the next day. But if the squatter is, what's the word I'm looking for? Sophisticated, and there are a lot of sophisticated squatters out there, they're going to create, for the price of 30 cents, a fake lease, which says, hey.
A fleece.
A fleece, right.
Got it.
Right, they're trying to fleece you. And that's literally, they write down a person's name and their name and say, somebody rented it to me.
Oh, God.
Now we're educating all the squatters right now.
Yeah. Squatters, turn this off.
Yeah. When I first heard that, I'm like, well, my first thought was, well, must be people on Craigslist who are advertising. They find a vacant property and then they advertise it and they lease it. Like I thought, like the squatters maybe were duped, right? And somebody said, and I was like all angry, who's doing that? But then I started realizing many years ago, there is nobody doing that because you'd have to be out of your mind because there'd be a record of it, and it's just people in the area who find vacant properties and move in.
Like walking around and they
right.
see a
and
vacant property.
Or they see everybody moving out, or they see it listed for sale. I had a property listed for sale.
I see.
So
Jeez,
that's what happens. So I do not take the normal path when it comes to squatters because what happens is if they show a fake lease to a police officer, the police officer will say something along the lines of, this is not a criminal matter anymore. This is a civil matter, and you have to take it to court. Now, if you're in Texas and somebody says that to you, you're great because in 36 days you can evict somebody in Texas. And I imagine the sheriffs there are going to come with guns ablazing to anybody that squats. But in New York, especially during the pandemic where there was no evictions going on, I bought several houses from people who had done the so-called right thing and called the cops and had people living there for years without paying rent.
That's unbelievable.
So I take a different tack, and it is called the baseball bat. So I just happened to.
I need to know so what's the sequence of events like?
So the sequence is you need to knock on the door and get them to open the door.
What time?
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the best time is really early where you wake them
like
up.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. is good. And then you say, what are you doing in my house? And they say, what? I rented it from John Doe. And then a simple series of 4 or 5 questions will make that whole story fall apart. Unfortunately, the police never ask those questions. But so I usually get some version of, I don't know his number. I go, come again? You don't know the person who rented you's number? I go, what were you going to do if there's a problem? I go, I know you're not paying the electricity because I'm paying the electricity. What were you going to do if the gas went out? What were you going to do if something broke? And then simple questions like that, and you can almost see in their eyes that they can't answer those questions. And no one in the history of has ever rented a property from somebody and not gotten their phone number where they can reach them. So recently I had a guy who made up a phone number and he's like, I can't reach him. And I'm like, of course you can't reach him. He doesn't exist. So that's step one. Step one is to make them believe that their story is not going to hold water with the police. Step two is to make them believe that they are in imminent danger from you. So So you take a large item, such as a large heavy item, such as a crowbar or a
hammer,
baseball bat or a claw hammer, and you start breaking things. Very often these are your things, right? I've staged properties. I mean, these guys moved into a completely staged property.
Is a retail flip.
Every single piece of furniture was in there: lamps, beds,
paintings,
artwork, and I just start breaking them, right? So I broke a lamp, I broke a table, I broke a hole in the wall, and then I say, you have 3 minutes to leave, and the next thing I'm breaking is your head. And people tell me that I'm out of my mind for doing that. I understand, right? You're going to get shot, you're going to get stabbed, you're going to get killed. I find most of the time these people are simply addicted to some drug, weed being number one, but I've seen crack and heroin also. And these are people that do not want to get into it. The key to doing
Does it smell like pot when you walk in the house?
Oh yeah, almost always, almost always. Like they'll use like some. I had one where they used some like canister using as an ashtray. Something that was there in the kitchen to make it look nice. So the key to do this is they have to be quick, right? If they move in and they're there for a few months, you have a much bigger problem, right? If they already have utility bills in their name, if they already started getting mail, it's a big
Then
problem.
you're in trouble. Yeah.
You're in trouble. If you catch it in a couple of days, then it usually works because they have no proof that they really are there except some BS lease that doesn't hold water with three questions asked to it. But
Because they forged your signature on the lease.
they're not mine. They don't know my name.
I know, but they forged
Well,
somebody's
the last one, they
signature.
knew the guy's name. They looked up his name and they put his
Oh
name.
yeah.
Oh my god!
And the owner came and they said, I rented it from this guy.
From the guy
And
you
the guy goes, after like 5 minutes, he goes, I'm that guy. I'm the guy you said you rented it from.
Wow.
That happened recently. So it's very easy to get information on owners. But they usually make up a name. So you have to, unfortunately, I don't like acting like a nut job and I don't like breaking things.
You're a pretty rational, calm guy.
I am.
I
But
mean,
when it comes to these people, it drives me bananas because they're really
Yeah.
trying to take advantage of the system, and the system is in their favor and not
Yeah.
the law-abiding people's favor.
Yeah.
And that's my basic.
So you just
That's
get them
pretty
out
good.
with scare tactics.
Yeah, you have. I literally see these things happen in their eyes when I start acting nuts. You see it. It's like this isn't worth it, right? I'll find another vacant house to squat in, right?
Yeah.
I'll find somewhere else.
They
to
got
get.
no skin in the game.
Right. So that's what I do. And almost
What are you,
everyone.
7 for 7, right?
I'm 7 for 7. Almost everyone who I tell this to says that I'm out of my mind.
I mean, listen, I think
I
it's a smart
understand.
way to do it, honestly.
Well, luckily we haven't had to do it yet, but
Is
now
this
we
more
now
of
we
a
know
Long
where to
Island
go.
thing? This doesn't happen really much in our area.
Yeah, there's
a
not
lot of
many-
people
there's not
in our
many
area.
squatters
There's
by
millions of
us.
people, too. I don't know. Is Long
I
Island
don't-
like the
I don't know.
squatting capital of the country?
It might be.
No, San Francisco and San Diego probably are. I mean, Cali's got a
Yeah,
lot
it'll
of
take
that.
10 years to get them out there. But if I owned a vacant property in those areas, I'd put bars on the windows and the doors.
There are. That's funny you say that. If you go to the hood in San Diego, it's bars.
You got to keep
bars.
people out because if they get
Yeah.
in, you're never getting
But
them
There's
Squatters
rehabbers
end
I know
up-
that hire security guards to literally sit
No
outside
way.
the properties while they're flipping them, and the contractors will sleep there at night.
By the way,
it's so fucked up.
at some point I may, because there are, put up cameras because
That's
Yeah.
legitimate.
cameras are legit because if you have a videotape of a guy breaking in, which they all break in,
Yeah,
then the cops.
and they're
will
easy
take
to
them out.
set up these days. The camera.
Cops will
So
take
do the
Oh,
squatters
that might be an easier way to go about things.
Just put a video camera.
Do they ever get in trouble for breaking in? Like after this whole process, let's say it went through the police, they have to kick them out like through the regular eviction process. They're never getting in trouble for breaking and entering.
That's trespassing.
That's crazy.
It's not because the cop doesn't know. It's somebody's word against the other.
Yeah,
person. And
so there's no
that guy
proof
pulls
that they
out a
broke
lease,
in.
So they don't know what's
Oh
going on.
my gosh,
crazy.
That's a
It
shit
makes no
show,
sense,
man.
right?
Yeah.
It makes no sense, and they infuriate me.
Yeah,
Listen, that system is. I mean, it
it sounds
makes
like it
sense.
works
It makes
100% of the
sense.
time for you. So,
So far.
You got to hire your services out. I mean, get mysquatterout.com.
Squatterbegone.com.
Squatterbegone.com.
But again, it only works within 48 hours, 72
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
Oh, so the big
gotta be
takeaway is
done
it's
quick.
got to be a quick deal. If they're
The
getting
takeaway
mail
is
there,
that
you're
if you have
screwed.
vacant property in an area where you're concerned this might happen, you need to drive by it like every other night
Yeah.
and make sure no lights are on to see if anybody's there. Sometimes, and also I would speak to the neighbors too and say if anybody moves in, I want to know right away.
Yeah,
I've gotten calls from neighbors.
just
Wow.
like
So
Hey,
I
there's
think
someone in your
about.
house.
I think
because the
somebody-
neighbors don't want them there either. So
Right.
probably
They're
happy to help.
These are not exactly neighbors that anybody wants.
Yeah.
yeah, that is crazy. Oh my goodness. Well,
Wow.
So you have to act like a nut job. I've never had to physically injure somebody. I've injured a lot of walls and furniture.
yeah.
All that I owned. So I guess that's legal.
so then you got to get the punchless guy in there the next day,
Yeah. Exactly. Fix the
Interesting.
hole.
and then build a squatter back, put a lien on their house.
Right.
What's the longest it's taken you to get a bad tenant out of a property? What's your landlord horror story?
So now I'm in the middle of now. So there was
how
a
do you have
more.
like 15 houses? Or you have shitheads.
I have like 12 evictions going
Oh
on.
Oof.
gosh.
Because I have multiple in some houses. So
Oh my!
right now it's taking a long time because the moratorium ended on my birthday on January 15th.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. That was unfortunately a long time ago. And the courts are much slower because they are backed up the gazoo as I predicted.
They're backed up everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long, you have years of people that were taking advantage. So, an adjournment, which is given.
Oh, every
with no-
time you get into
with,
it. Yeah.
with very little effort, used to be in Nassau 2 to 3 weeks, and now it's like two to 3 months. So everything's taking longer. That's like the time it was taking in the 5 bars in New York City. I cannot imagine how long evictions are going to take in the 5 bars in New York City because they took 2 years before the pandemic. So now that you're probably looking at 4 to 5 years.
Jeez.
oh.
So I get
4 to 5 years for an eviction.
It might.
I think.
It might.
Oh my
That's
god.
insane.
And the savvy people that are in there know how much that value is. So they're asking for like 6 figures to leave.
Oh,
6.
So I'm bombarded
out of
with
control.
properties in Queens all the time that are
Wait,
occupied.
and you say
And
no.
I say there's a price for it, but you're really not
Like
going to
50 grand.
No, I figure I need 150 grand.
No, 50 grand for the purchase price.
Oh, I'm saying, but whatever my numbers are, I'll add $150,000 below it.
On
because
top of that.
it might cost me that much,
Yeah.
and it might be in it for 5 years. I'm paying
and
taxes
you're paying
on it.
taxes
Deal with it. It's a nightmare.
So the tenants that you're evicting, did you inherit them or you put them in there?
One I put in there, the rest I inherited.
Was the one put in there the mismatch?
I had a different property that I was wholesaling for a lot of money, and the only thing holding it back was one tenant. So I put them into another property. I thought they'd be good. They had been paying rent to the other guy.
Oh my god!
And
they stopped.
Shockingly, she stopped paying rent.
How did she deliver? Did she just stop paying one day, or she said, "Hey, I can't pay you anymore"?
She was complaining. She was a lower level. It's two family, and she didn't like the amount of people that were upstairs.
Where was the property?
Massapequa.
That's a good area.
It's a very good area.
That's expensive.
She was working in Massapequa. It was like perfect for her.
She has job and everything.
Yeah, she works.
So I'm like, that's just crazy that she.
I fixed the whole place up for her.
Really?
I probably put
Wow.
8 to 10 grand in it to make it nice.
Why? That's ridiculous.
She was upset that the guys upstairs who hadn't paid rent in 3 years, had too many people. And I'm like, did I ever represent how many people would be on top of you? Like, but she got furious at me. I said, you know, those guys aren't even paying rent. I'm evicting them. That didn't make sense to her. To her, I was the bad guy.
Wow.
So she stopped paying rent.
Oh my goodness. So now, when do you think they will be all out?
So I have an eviction order for the last guy upstairs.
A sheriff order.
Sheriff will hopefully.
Did he wrap your ass?
No.
No.
But
So
hopefully,
you're good.
Hopefully he'll show up within the next 4 weeks. He signed a stipulation and then didn't keep it when he was going to leave.
Yeah.
He said he was going to leave July 15th. So hopefully the
And he
sheriff comes soon.
didn't leave.
Right. So then it's
Oh
very
my gosh.
yeah. So
If you sign a stipulation and you don't leave, are you automatically hosed?
it's not automatic. It's I have to file a affidavit of noncompliance.
Got
Then
it.
I should get a warrant for possession relatively soon. And then the one underneath, we just signed the stipulation to leave at the end of October. But she's letting me show the property during that time. So I plan to put it up for sale as soon as the guy upstairs is out, clean up the upstairs, and then show it to people and sell it as is. And let
So
them
are you giving her money to leave, this lady?
yeah. But
Whoa, so she didn't pay rent, and now you're giving, oh my, this
I
is
got to
New
give her
York
money
State?
when she leaves.
So did you offer all these 12 people cash for keys?
Always. I always offer that first.
What was your offer to them?
I don't remember. It's different every time.
Yeah.
Like anywhere from
It
2 to 10
depends.
grand.
Yeah, it depends.
I got away with $1,700 the other day.
That's
That's
cheap.
that's a cheap one.
Yeah, cheap.
That's
And the
That's
the
real
lady
cheap.
in the back is 500, so we're really looking at about 23.
Wow, you're a big spender.
I know.
No, I've
I
bought
told my
houses.
one knucklehead tenants, if they're listening, you're out soon. Get ready. He's coming. $5 grand, and they told me to keep the change. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to give it to the attorney.
Right. It's very tough to come up with that number right away. It's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I want them to give me a number, and
I
then
want
they
them to
balk.
give a number. I have a tenant in a property that I'm buying. She asked me for $30,000
Oh.
to leave 3
An
months
assignment
early.
fee around here.
To leave
3 months early?
No, it's her lease is up at the end of December. Right. I'm probably closing on the property and the purchase this month, so that's August, so September, October, November. So she wanted to leave 4 months early. She wanted $30,000. I think I offered her 10 or 15.
Is she
That's
paying or
still a
not?
lot.
She's paying.
That is insane.
Well, she can ask. She can ask whatever she wants. But
Well,
Yeah.
they know that they could stay in for almost a year. So when
Yeah,
you think
they're
about
smart.
the rent that they will pay,
I believe
it's
that
like a
I
savings.
believe
like-
they'll leave at the end.
Yeah.
I also believe that after I close on it, she's going to constantly be asking me for money to leave early.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I think she's a pretty good tenant.
yeah.
But there's another tenant who is not too bright, and we'll see what happens there.
Have you found it? Is it harder to evict a Section 8 tenant compared to a regular cash tenant? It's the same
Same
process. You don't have to jam them up. You don't have to evict them through Section 8, right? It's just the same process.
Section 8 has nothing to do with evictions.
All
It
right.
has to do with how they're paid.
I got to do a
So
Section
I've
8
evicted people and still gotten Section 8 checks after they left. Like,
Oh,
no,
yeah?
they didn't tell Section.
That's
That's happened.
When does
Eventually I
Section
tell
8 cut the bait usually?
Someone has to let them know they're not there anymore.
wow.
Do they ask for the money back, or you just?
No,
Yeah,
I told them like a month
Well,
later.
it's
I
your
go,
money anyway. You're paying taxes. You
right.
know?
But it's not harder. I don't think it's harder. Even if let's say their portion of the rent is $100, and they don't pay it, you can still evict them.
Wow.
Wow.
But that has to make sense to you, because if you're getting 19
Yeah,
from
of course.
Section 8, what is it worth it to get that
Is
guy
it
out?
worth dealing
Yeah.
with all the drama to get them
But
out?
every situation is different. But the only problem with Section 8 that I found when it comes to evictions is that if the really conniving, savvy people can figure out a way to stop getting you paid from Section 8. I had someone who
A Section 8 person can think that.
lifted up the carpet and removed like a floorboard
Oh,
and put the carpet back and said she was in an unsafe environment because she was tripping over this thing
Oh,
that she had
goodness.
done, and she wouldn't let me in to fix it. And Section 8 said, you're unsafe. You can't. We did an inspection. You can't pay it. I said, we're not paying it.
Wow.
I said, and she was already in eviction. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'd fix it tomorrow if she'd let me in. And they didn't really want to listen to me.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh,
That's the only problem.
That is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So I'll tell you my theory. You want to hear my theories on Section 8?
I would love
Or
to hear
any
your
government
theories.
programs.
I would
So-
love to hear it.
I had a lot of tenants and a lot of Section 8 and government program tenants and a lot of non. In my opinion, there's pros and cons to Section 8, right? You're getting money. They don't even send you checks anymore. It's wired right into your account.
ECH.
So that's
ECH,
great.
yeah.
The con is you're getting a lower class tenant.
Mhm.
That you
Yeah.
I've certainly evicted a higher percentage of my Section 8 tenants than my non-Section 8 tenants.
Interesting.
Wow.
But there's that pro and con. So as for my opinion, if you can get full market rent, then it's worth it to deal with a lower class tenant. And I've had great Section 8 tenants, but I'm saying
So if you can
on a
get
big-
full market rent for Section 8, it's worth it.
it's worth it
because
If
of the
you're-
stickiness.
But if you're going to take a reduction in rent, then it's not worth it. Even like $150, $200 a month, it's not worth it because you might as well max out and you're going to get a higher class of tenant.
Got
That's
it.
the way I look at it.
So the theory that I always hear is like the Section 8 tenant is going to be on their best behavior because they want to stay in the Section 8 program. Is that a bunch of BS
That's
or?
complete garbage.
I'm not saying there aren't people that are like that. Like some people look at their voucher as the most treasured thing they own.
Hmm.
But there are other people that don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
And that look at it as, well, I'm paying $100 a month into this thing. And I really don't
So
care.
it's the same as
and I'll
anything
get,
else, just individual.
but also the misconception in that theory is that if you evict them, that they're not going to keep getting, they are still going to,
Oh, yeah.
they don't lose the voucher if you evict
Really?
them. Yeah.
They don't lose the voucher?
So they'll still,
What?
wow.
They
They're
lose the
still
voucher.
No, they're still eligible.
Oh my
In
god.
fact, I have one now that isn't paying her end, and she got DSS, Department of Social Services, to pay the other end. So I'm getting both. I get both. I get two
Wow.
checks.
You're
a
double
month.
dipping.
So that's fine.
So
I'm
how
fine
would they get kicked out of
Yes.
Section 8? Like just because they would make more than
I don't know.
it allows or something?
I don't know if it's possible to
Wow.
get kicked
It's
out
an
of
income
Section 8.
thing.
So that might
Although
be,
there's
yeah.
Section 8 in all different places. There might be counties or areas where if you get evicted, they kick you out of the program.
So
But in
it's
our
different
area,
programs, yeah.
they couldn't care less.
Wow.
But even by us, there's like 6 different Section 8.
Is it a township thing?
There's a town of Hempstead Section 8. There's a Nassau County Section 8. There's all kinds of weird different programs in Section 8. So
What's another program you can do that's not Section 8?
So I have a great program called Options for Community Living that pays much higher than Section 8 did, and I used them for a while. But
And it's the same thing.
it's a temporary program, so they only want to be in it for like a year and a half, and then they want you to transition to a long-term program. But I found that they paid much higher rents. The problem with Section 8 that I had all the time is that their number for a 2-bedroom was like $1,938, and I was able to get $2,200, $2,300, $2,400 for a 2-bedroom
Yeah.
if it was big. So I didn't want to use it. But I used this options, and they would give me full market rent, and then transition to some Section 8 program now that was giving me full market rent too. So
Interesting.
if you can get full market rent, the pros outweigh the cons. I believe if you can't get market rent, then the cons outweigh the pros. So those are my thoughts on
Yeah,
Section
that
8.
makes
I think
sense.
if you can get full market rent, it's worth it. If you have to take a pay cut, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, that was a good show. We covered a lot of ground here in the
I
last
can't
hour,
believe how
15
time
minutes.
has flown.
I know.
Good show, boys.
Well, if anyone wants to follow us, Devon, how do they get in touch with you?
Devon Buys Houses on Instagram, DEVON, or cashforhouseshudsonvalley.com.
Mr. Michael?
That's a good question. I
What's
think
your
I'm.
YouTube channel called?
My YouTube channel is Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York. What am I? I think I'm
How to Flip New York. on
How to Flip
Instagram.
New York on Instagram. I think I'm Michael Pinter or Real Property Buyers on Facebook. And I don't have a TikTok handle yet.
Pending. Grego, Grego _37, or Greg at velocityhousebuyers.com email address. Signing off.
Bye-bye.